me ask you a question, Mike. There's been a couple of questions. I think both Secretary of State Rubio and President Trump have indicated that when we asked our NATO allies for a minimal amount of help, and I'm not talking about them getting involved with bombing or firing missiles or any weaponry at Iran, but things like using their airspace or landing in air bases that were in their geographic territory. Not a single NATO ally stepped up to support our effort on this war in Iran. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a good question because you can look at it through their lens to start with. So they feel slighted, generally, not all of them, but I'm sure a lot of them, because Trump's been talking trash about NATO, which is the truth, but he's the guy that's willing to say the truth. And so there's a little bit of bad blood there. He's threatened pulling out of NATO before. He has publicly embarrassed all of those nations. And I'm not saying they're not deserving of the embarrassment that they received. The second thing that they would probably argue is you did not consult with us before you decided to do this. I guess you could make the argument that Bush and others did consult with European allies, but frankly, Trump was dealing with very sensitive, highly classified information, probably only shared by Netanyahu and the Israeli government in the United States. And the reason he didn't go talking about it, and Congress said that, is because every time there has been consultation, there have been leaks in the past. And when you're going to do something like this, the element of surprise is paramount. So you can't risk trying to form a coalition and get these people on board. So there you have the two positions. Europe saying, and NATO saying, you didn't consult with us, and Trump saying, we didn't want the leaks. Is he being harsh on them for not stepping in now is the other question. That's up to each country for themselves to decide, and you as an American citizen to decide if you think one way or the other. Not letting us overfly their airspace like Spain, the Iberian Peninsula. Oh my God. When they said that, see, I can understand not landing at Sigonella. Now that's in Italy, that's Sicily. It's off the coast. We can land there as NATO troops as long as it's during normal peacetime. In wartime, there is a special provision, it's been there since 1954, that you must consult before attempting to land loaded B-52s, which is what was headed there. And they said, oh, no. Can't land here. Not with munitions on board. But the Spain thing was completely different. That was just an overflight. No such 1954 agreement exists there. And I think we ought to, maybe we need to take NATO apart one country by one country.
Iran sent missiles to attack Gibraltar.
Oh,
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Now, they didn't land. They didn't do any damage in Gibraltar. We took them down before they arrived. But isn't that an act of war? And isn't Gibraltar a base that is joint UK and US?
Yes.
And if Iran shoots missiles at UK, whether it's actual UK geography or UK base or airplanes or troops, shouldn't UK take that as an act of war?
You would think, but
but again, my point is that with these kinds of circumstances, where, as you noted, Spain wouldn't even let us fly over their airspace, fly through their airspace over their ground, what purpose does NATO have, and what amount of reliance, or what amount of security, what amount of expected cooperation should the United States anticipate from NATO allies? And if we cannot expect cooperation, should there be a NATO? Should the United States of America be in NATO?
That's the question. And I don't see the necessity of it anymore.
Mike, if you're my friend and I call you up and say, Mike, I need a favor, I need some help, or I need you to do this for me, or I need a couple of bucks, can you help me out? and you say to me, "Oh, gee, Alan, I'm sorry, I can't help you." But then next week you call me and say, "You know, Mac, I find that I'm a little bit short. Can you lend?" Why would I want to support you when you need it if you couldn't support me whenever I needed? And I think that's the way the United States of America has to look at these alliances that we have. You know.